for the Walker Independence, I'm going to start at the end only because like that didn't end on a high note. That ended on a very traumatic moment, which I guess they sort of foreshadowed. Senor Reyes is dead. Like that, he is gone. And I guess after he was like, oh, wait, yeah, this first son of independence, and he called him Mijo. That should have been the shoe we realized was going to drop, that he was not going to last past the episode. But it was quite a dramatic fair, especially because Calian is now being accused of his murder.
He did do it. We just didn't see it, right?
No, I don't think he did do. I mean, it looks like one of his arrows, but I think he's being framed.
What? Okay, I'm glad we started here because this was one of the things I was unsure about because Callian kept seeing a little girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we know who that was?
Not yet. In fact, this may be the first time that we were introduced to her, so we don't really know what her connection is to him, but clearly
Yeah.
it's one that involves a lot of pain and grief. Because what is this? Otis, the former sheriff, did not do his due diligence in the case involving that child. She went missing.
Yeah, wasn't that, didn't he Otis himself kind of like apologized, didn't he? Because he said that was like the one great case he never solved. And clearly by Callian's reaction, we thought he was like, Callian didn't believe that he did what he should have done. He didn't. It sounds to me like these three, them two and Augustus, were a bit of like a triple act and they worked together. But maybe that's why they disbanded or why there was so much awkwardness between them, because Callian didn't feel that the sheriff did what he should have done or let unturned every stone that he should have. And clearly that caused a lot of conflict and emotional trauma for Callian, as we saw, because he kept seeing visions of the little girl.
Yeah, so maybe it is supposed to be up in the air because I didn't think he did it, even though it was his arrow. But if it is a trauma response that he was hallucinating and he thought he was shooting someone who was taking the little girl in his mind, I don't know how you. If it is that, I don't see how you move forward in the story for Callian because at the end of the day, he would have still killed somebody.
That's true. Because I guess I just accepted it for what they presented is that like, oh, Callian saw this vision of a little girl and somehow that man was connected to whatever happened to her and Callian was not happy about it and like had that, like you said, a trauma response. But yeah, I I hope it's not bad news for Callian.
Mm. Well, currently he's locked up and awaiting trial. This episode did a lot of like problematizing different dynamics in relationships, which is good because we're getting further in the season, and so now we are complicating everybody's relationships in a way that brings tension when previously we had been sort of a merry little band, like a merry little crew, with a few dust ups, of course, but like not to this extent. I mean, for Hoyt, this is Mr. Reyes is basically a father figure for him because he didn't have his dad. And he is the father of Lucia, the woman he loves. So this is like a lot for him. And Calian is a man that he is only growing to have a relationship with. So the idea that Hoyt's, I don't know if he's going to be able to be objective in this storyline. So that's going to create some tension moving forward. But speaking of tension, or I guess fighting, we had the fight this week too, which was also very different for how it went down. Certain situations didn't play out how I thought they would play out, as far as like when Hoyt was selected and that he actually did throw the fight and believes he would have won it.
I loved Hoyt in this episode because we see him taking advantage of the things he usually takes advantage of, like attention, money, but we see him, like you said, throw it for a greater purpose. Like he gets the money to try to help. And my favorite shot of the episode, which there was a lot of amazing cinematography. The show plays with perspective so well, but the shot that I thought that was super, super effective was when Hoyt does get the money outside Hagen's and he looks back in and he hears Tom getting all of the like the accolades, the applause, like that's something that Hoyt craves. He loves being the center of attention. He loves getting the glory, and he just sighs, and like he gave that up for a greater purpose. And while I do think that's a really good growth moment, I don't think he's not a changed man. That's just a moment in a long character development journey, but I thought it was really well done. And I love that shot of him looking at what he gave up. It was I don't know, I love that part.
Yeah, it was such a strong episode for Hoyt, I agree. And the fact is, over the last since the start of the show, he's kind of had this reputation that people like joke about him or make fun of him or like have a bit of humor at his expense. Most of the time it's not mean, but like he doesn't have a great reputation around town. And I feel like the show was playing the long game, but to show us that while we know his heart was always in the right place, I think it's trying to show us that he is a much better person than he's perceived to be. And he had this real chance to save the town and get all that glory all at once and fast track his character development, if you will. But he decided to throw it for personal reasons to help out people in real need and not the town's reputation. And I think that did a great deal more than him winning the fight would have. Because at first I was like, why are we laughing at Hoyt again? And now I get it. I totally get where they went with that. And it was such an important moment. Because a lot of people would say, oh, Hoyt bets or Hoyt throws fights for anyone else or whatever. But it was all for an important cause. And again, it was the quiet moments to suck at because it was pretty larger than life episode. But like Reed said, that scene was just glorious.
Yeah, he's treated a lot like the comic relief. And Matt Barr is really great at that. But they always do seem to seed in little moments with him where he is incredibly loyal as a person. And his like love language seems to be acts of service or like and then gifts, because he's always like he stole the dress for Lucia. He hid money for her in the bouquet. He stole the ledger for Abby, so that they could get information on what Teresa was doing. Like he does these little things for everybody in his life that they're appreciated in the moment, but it doesn't sort of make them expand their vision of him for some reason. Like he's still treated very much as like their bumbling friend, who yes is an outlaw, but is a terrible one. And it was nice in this episode where you could see that he really just wants to be appreciated by the people in his life and by the people in town for the things that he contributes, because he does contribute. It may not be like always the best. He doesn't make the best decisions, but he's always trying to bring something to the table, and he wants to be seen as valuable and a resource just like everybody else.
He knows how people view him, and he kind of I think he plays into that more often than not, just because it's like, oh, that's who they think I am, that's who I'm going to be. So the moments that he does do something well, it doesn't like the way that he did it isn't the way that you think he would do it. Like it's in a very like he's fighting somebody. Like it's not completely heroic, but it's those little things that aren't instinct that he does that humanize him. We see him in a different way. And even if everybody else doesn't see him that way, we see it, and he knows that happened. But I'm sure he'll go back next episode to being a hot mess.
But speaking of heroism, let's talk about Tom. I was a little confused by his motivations this episode, as far as like trying to make independence great. It seemed like a personal mission for him now rather than it being a mission for the Davidsons. And it was interesting to me to see that sort of switch for him where he wants to be seen well by everyone around him. Like, and that was something that was there in previous episodes, but it seemed to be more like an artifice. Like he wants everything to look the way it's supposed to look and run the way it's supposed to look. And this episode, it felt like there was more heart in it than previously.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I feel like we mentioned that it feels like they're heading in that direction, that he was very much the villain where you see the like cowboy silhouette of the hat and the coat and everything, and he has maybe two scenes and they're both like lines of dialogue that are quite imposing in the pilot. And then as the shows went on, you saw, well, hold on a minute, there's actually like a personality here. Oh, wait a minute, there's a bit of heart here. Oh, wait a minute, there's a real character motivation here. It very much feels like they're trying to set it up as though that while he is absolutely a threat that needs to be taken seriously, he's also a victim of maybe his upbringing or his environment or whatever, because he does have some similar qualities that we see in Hoyt and that need to be appreciated, and that maybe want to do the right thing in certain situations, but not do the right thing in others. Yeah, there was more of an empathy about him. I felt more for him, and we said this show has done it so well that whenever the big cliffhanger came in, that his life was hanging in the balance, and you were like, wait a minute, I actually care about this character. And like, no one could have said that after the first episode when he's just tipping his hat to people and walking off.
Okay, yeah. Who stabbed him and why?
I don't know.
I tried to pause and like look at who it was. I'm sure it was just a stand-in, but like, who was it?
I know, because he's just in the laundry, just laying out there with a pool of blood. I mean, he's not gonna die, but
No.
it was interesting, to kind of be like, oh my God, Tom, are you like, you're not good, but like, I hope you're gonna be good, because they have done such a good job sort of building his character in a way that makes you, if not empathize with him, sympathize. And the fight where he took Kai's advice after, nearly biting it, like, because he wasn't going to listen immediately. We actually circling, like going to a moment earlier before that, during the fight, they really need to stop giving Tom and Abby moments, because I cannot be on this ship like at all. But like, he fell because he didn't listen to Kai's advice, and he's just, there is Abby just looking like an avenging angel, like and instead of being curious about why she should be, like, she was looking at him very hatefully. But he took it as like, she's here, I have to prove myself.
He's like,
and
that's my girl.
I know, I was like, she looks like she wants to kill you, but okay.
He's letting her hatred fuel him.
Yeah, he's like, I had to make her proud, and like,
but we do need to talk about Abby. We haven't talked about her yet. She finds out that the Davidsons paid Liam off to come to Independence. I don't know what any of it means.
No, like what it has to do with a situation that had to have happened in Boston.
Yeah, because Otis was a red herring, right? Augustus was like, I think he did it, and everyone's like, okay, it seems like it's not a thing.
Yeah, he was. I mean, that felt like it was Otis's introduction was really just for them to be like, you guys thought the sheriff wasn't around, the former sheriff wasn't around, because that's usually what happens. You think, oh, the sheriff passed, and we'll learn nothing. It's like, oh, actually, no, he's drunk in his cabin. But it also gives you an opportunity to see. I think we're supposed to see Otis as a good man who has made mistakes. That might be a way of at some point foiling him against Liam, where because Liam also took money. Like, and they were both in law enforcement. So like, it's just, again, problematizing the way that all the characters see each other. Like, now Abby has to contend with the fact that, yes, she didn't know everything about her husband, but she wouldn't have ever thought that he took money, that he took a bribe. And that's the reason why he's in town, which also, I guess, implies that what Tom is doing is what Liam would have done for the Davidsons.
Ooh. So then why did Tom kill him? So many questions.
I know. That's something we're gonna have to sit with. It's such a mystery. But that is probably what is also circling around in Abby's head too.
Yeah, because the emotion of her when in that last scene when she uncovered all of that and like cried to Kate, I think that was a very powerful scene, because she has been protecting Liam's legacy every time she has had a conversation with Kate. Well, Kate's been trying to dig into the secrets and the truth and everything, and she wouldn't let Kate get past that. So it was a very powerful moment that she kind of confided in Kate at the end there, because it was a big realization for her that the man she thought her husband may not have been that person, and even if he was, what was his motivation behind doing this? Yeah, and she was able to use her connection to the sheriff's office to find this information out. The dynamics continue to get more intriguing as the episodes go on.
That's for sure. And then we got Calian and Gus unpacking some of their friendship for us too. I did not know it was enemies to friends. Like, so he's a Buffalo Soldier. Like, they were fighting against one another, and then there was friendship. This kind of does explain though why Augustus has been like, why do you have new friends? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, he clocked Abby and Calian talking.
He did not like it. He did not like it at all. And Abby and Calian's relationship is growing as well. I do want to know what Augustus's problem is, other than like she is an unknown entity. And they are sort of starting to bring up more like, because Otis too was like, she's here, and Liam has a wife, a now widow. That
Abby's like, don't look at me.
So like, and I'm sure Gus, even though he's not saying anything, has also realized that, because everyone has been like, Abby is rolling around in town and no one is thinking that that's Liam's wife. And I guess
These are all
apparently
some
people
very
are.
smart people. Like, how have they not been like, huh?
Who are you again?
But now they're sort of unveiling that no, people do have questions. They're not asking her those questions, but they've clocked that she came to town in a very interesting time.
I'm predicting by the end of the season, her jig is going to be up.
Yes.
Yeah. It has to.
Yep.
It has to be.
It has to.
But then it's a question of, will she have the answers that she wanted before that happens?
I doubt it. She'll get some, but it's just going to get messier. That's how you make a series. Everyone was like, how are they going to make this show last? And it's like, this is how. Friends, it just gets messier.
And messier. And next week's going to be, no, tonight's episode, because we record on Thursdays, is going to be... it's gonna be super messy, with Calian rightfully calling people out about not defending him when he has done nothing but be of use to this town.
Hashtag free Calian. We're running his campaign.
Yes, free our man.